Guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe, and today we're breaking down the first round pick for the Saints in the 2025 NFL Draft, and we're going to look forward to round two. The Saints, with the ninth pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, have selected offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, and I think it's a fine pick. He was technically number 15 on my board, and we take him at 9. He was the best offensive lineman left on the board at the time. And we were kind of told ahead of time we were going to build up the trenches. I believed that because the Saints spend so many first and second round picks on offensive linemen and defensive linemen, that it was a chance we would do it. We don't pick up the fifth year option on Trevor Penning at right tackle. So yeah, this is a sign of things to come, I think. I believe personally Calvin Banks is going to play left guard for us this year, and we'll finish this final year of Penning's contract, and we'll see what he has. If he takes another step forward at right tackle, perhaps in this new system, he looks sound, and then maybe we can sign him to some extension that's not too costly. Or a lot of people are speculating that we'll just try to play Penning at guard, and this will be his last year to make it on the team, and we'll see if he can do it at guard. I mean, switching positions 2 years in a row, I'm not sure how the Saints are going to do it. I know we should put our five best offensive linemen out there, and I think Kelvin Banks will be one of them. Whether Kelvin Banks is better than the new left guard we signed, which I'm assuming he is, or whether Kelvin Banks is better than Trevor Penning, which I'm assuming he can and will be. We got us another piece on the offensive line. So a lot of people are upset it's not a skill position. When pick nine came up for the Saints, Tyler Warren, the tight end, was still there. Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia, was still there. And Mikael Williams was still there. I wasn't a fan of him. He wasn't on my top 27. Jalen Walker was right at the bottom of my top 14. Kelvin Banks was number 15. And I said in a previous video, if Walker and Banks were there, I would probably lean towards Banks, even though I had Walker listed at 14 and Banks at 15. Because when you get to that spot in the draft, you got to think about the boards to come. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of great pieces to choose in the second round when it comes to defensive line, defensive end, even a linebacker type, certainly DBs, wide receivers. We got all of that coming up in the second round. So I think it was a smart move by the Saints. I think whenever I've done hundreds of mock drafts leading up to this, and every time I watched the board and watched it fall, I realized that taking an offensive lineman in the first round was probably a pretty good idea in the whole grand scheme of things. You want the best player available. Maybe Tyler Warren was the best player available. But man, the value was there at offensive line. I think I think we take the player. I think this feels right. I like the way the board's set up for tomorrow or later on today. And yeah, contrary to what a lot of Saints fans are saying and feeling, immediate reaction. Um, I love the pick. So Kelvin Banks, 6 foot 5 inches, 315 pounds. He has an arm length of 33 and a half. He has a hand size of 10 and 3/8 inches. So he is built perfectly for a tackle. A lot of people say he can play guard, that he would be very good at guard. Some of his limitations are because he plays out on the edge of tackle. So maybe his best fit would be guard. I think he'll be fine as a tackle. I think that's where he'll eventually end up. But I think personally, you go out there with your five best offensive linemen this year, meaning Banks at left guard. And then if Trevor Penning makes it the whole year, you sign him to an extension, you have yourself three good players. You keep everything the way it is. You keep Fuanga and Banks on the left side. You keep it that way, and you re-sign Trevor Penning to a manageable contract, and you're good to go. Personally, Trevor Penning would have to take another very large step forward. He proved he could be a starter last year, but not a very good one. And that was pretty good for Trevor Penning, being he couldn't stay on the field the first 2 years. He takes another big leap forward. Yeah, we might end up having to pay him a little more than we want to, but or we just cut bait with him and let him go. Maybe he doesn't make it at right tackle in the rest of the offseason, and we end up putting Fuanga back out at right. We put Banks at left tackle, and then we have a situation at left guard that we still need to figure out. Either way, I think Banks will definitely be one of the five pieces on the line this year. I think it was a great move. I think in a couple of years you have Banks at the left side, left tackle. You have Fuanga on the right side, and I think you're doing pretty good, probably for years to come. Okay, so let's look at the players that are on the board right now to start the second round. Now, day two is going to start in a couple hours. The Saints have a second round pick and two third round picks. I was thinking about breaking down potential players available in the third round, but we really don't know who's going to be there come the third round. But we know who's there right now. So let's take a look at the list. The Saints pick at 40. There are going to be 7 players taken before the Saints, and this list of players is a list of players that I would not mind taking with that second round pick. And it starts with 2 players that were in my original top 14. Cornerback Will Johnson, edge rusher Mike Green. The medicals on Will Johnson don't look good. He was passed over for the entire first round, and I'm not sure who's going to take a chance on him. It seems as though one of his past injuries may be a long-term thing, whether it's a degenerative condition or whether it's just a condition with his knee that signals he will have a shorter career than normal. That's the end result, apparently, is what I was hearing. That you might not get a full career out of this guy because of one of his past injuries. So no one wants to draft a guy in the first round to have him for just 4 or 5 years. I mean, we did this with Ryan Ramczyk. We didn't know the extent at the time. A great first round pick and would have been a Hall of Famer probably, but his career's cut short because of some injury that just never went away. So do you want to spend a pick, even a second round pick, on a guy like Will Johnson if you think you're only going to get 7, 8 years out of him? I don't know. I'm starting to think Will Johnson might not be a guy to get until the third round, even though he was originally in my top 14, top 11 actually. So, but he is there, and if he can play, you got yourself a first round talent just on a very predicted short time period. So edge rusher Mike Green is another guy. I'm pretty sure he's going to come off the board pretty fast. I would love to take Mike Green with the second round pick if that guy's still there. All right, I'm going to also mention the rest of these guys. Now you can actually sub a few other names in here if you would like at positions of need. So cornerback Will Johnson is here, and I've got cornerback Tavone Ravel Jr. listed here. You can also look at Azaria Thomas out of Florida State. You could reach for Darian Porter. You could also look at Benjamin Morrison. Those are a lot of cornerbacks, really good ones that are still on the board. Benjamin Morrison's coming off a hip injury, so that's why he's in the second round. Don't know what the injury report is on him. Other than that, he's recovering from that. Not sure if it's going to limit his, career or not. But my number one cornerback in day two, round two, is Trey Amos. He is still on the board. I have a feeling he's going to get taken before we get to pick 40. But if you want a cornerback, Will Johnson, Savone Ravel Jr., Trey Amos are still there, along with Azaria Thomas and Darian Porter. I think it's a prime spot. 7 players are going to go, and then the Saints pick. I think one of those cornerbacks could still be there, even though Will Johnson would be a risk. You've got 2 great safeties on the board right now. Nick Emmanwori, who is the Raz King, and Xavier Watts, who might be a late second round, early third round projection, but I think Xavier Watts in our defense with Tyrann Mathieu as a player to to groom him, I think Watts could turn into something special. Edge rushers besides Mike Green that we could be looking at. Braden Swenson out of LSU is still there. Princely Uman Mielen is still there. Edge rusher out of Ole Miss. So, there's a couple other edge rushers that are still there that you could talk yourself into. I mean, Nick Scorton, big defensive end, is still on the board. And, you've also got JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State. You've got Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Um, there's a lot of edge rushers to take. You could actually put off edge rusher to the third round and probably still find some pretty good guys there. Linebacker right now, Carson Schwechinger's screaming out to me. I believe he's going to get taken before 40. Man, he would be a good outside linebacker on this team. Another guy to think about at linebacker is Demetrius Knight. And what else? Well, shoot. My favorite running back is still on the board, after Genty. Travion Henderson is still on the board. I think Henderson goes before pick 40. But if he's there, I mean, it's wild. I don't think you need a running back you don't need to draft one this early. We have so many needs. You can wait on running back. But man, if they take Henderson, I'm not going to be upset. And tight end Mason Taylor is still there. And the one guy that I think everybody really loves mocking to the Saints in the second round, wide receiver Jaden Higgins. Man, if he can make it to 40, it's going to be interesting. So 6, 9, 10. This is a list of 13 players, and 7 players get taken before we pick at 40. So I like this list. You take off 7 of these guys, you still got 6 left, and I'd be happy with all of them. I mean, I'd be a little nervous about Nick Scorton, but I really do believe he's a first round talent. I'm not nervous about Carson Schwechlinger at all. I think he's a fine player. And just to have a pass rushing edge, it's something we don't have. And I think if you can pick at 40 and get either Mike Green or Braden Swenson or Princely Uman Mielen, I think you're doing pretty good. Even Nick Scorton. So, oh, what do I want out of all of this? Nick Emmanwori to me sounds very intriguing, but man, Mike Green, Jaden Higgins, Trey Amos, one of those 3 guys, Mike Green, Trey Amos, Jaden Higgins, man, one of those guys would be supreme. But we'll see, and this is the list. Now, not included in this list are the quarterbacks. If the Saints are sold on a guy like Tyler Shuck, pick 40 might be the place to do it. My favorite quarterback in the bunch right now is still Will Howard, so I would wait till the bottom of the third round or the top of the third round to grab Will Howard. I would go ahead and get another skill guy here. You pass on Tyler Warren for an offensive tackle, but you come back in the second round and get Mason Taylor. Yeah, so people are probably going to want a playmaker here. Trevion Henderson, Jaden Higgins, Mason Taylor. Either one of those guys, you get yourself a good playmaker. But yeah, man, that cornerback's looking at me. Trey Amos, Savone Ravel. Even if you take a chance on Will Johnson, the guy is a top 10 prospect as far as talent goes. So maybe in the second round, you draft a guy who only gives you 7, 8 years, but gives you 7, 8 years of really good starting cornerback play. Maybe it's worth a second round pick. Like I said, if Trey Amos is there, I'm going with him above everybody except for Jaden Higgins. I think right now I'm leaning towards Jaden Higgins, Trey Amos, and then, man, Mike Green, Braden Swinson, Travion Henderson. I'd be happy with any of these guys. So that's it. That's my pre-round two wrap up and my post round one wrap up. We get an offensive lineman. People are upset. We do it over and over again. We should have it nailed by now. We've picked either an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman in the first round for the last 9 or 10 years. You would think we would have a set line by now, but we don't. And I think now we're one step closer. I hope Banks doesn't turn into the bust that Penning is. I don't think there's a chance in that happening. The great thing about Kelvin Banks is he's 21 years old. He just turned 21. Just turned 21. He played his first year of college at 18. Okay, so 3 years in a row, never been injured. Starting left tackle from day one. He only allowed, I think, one sack last year. Only a handful of pressures. You're getting a guy that's never been injured, that has the physical tools that Banks has. Yeah, I think this might be a really good pick for the Saints. I think that he'll sign a second contract. It'll be worth it. And we should be good to go at tackle with Fuanga and Banks for the next decade. Now, that's what I'm hoping. And we'll see what they do in round two. I'm Joe. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 so you can get all of the Saints content. I'm going to be breaking down all of the picks, including on Sunday when we get 16 undrafted rookie free agents. And give me a like, give me a share. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?